Oh, good evening, everybody. Thank you for watching my video. Today is January 28th, 2021. It's 11:57 p.m. So 3 minutes away from January 29th, 2021. Today is Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday. 3 minutes it'll be Friday. Thank you for watching my video. Today I want to talk about something that I love to talk about, and it's my dental discovery. Over the course of my life, I always had bad teeth. When I was a kid growing up, I'd always have cavities every time. I think I had 5 or 6 cavities, sometimes 3 or 4. Like 3 was normal, you know. Going into my adulthood, it was pretty much the same. I mean, my teeth never really got better. Well, no, they did get better, but I still had cavities. Not as many as when I was a kid, but I still had cavities even as an adult. So I actually have 4 teeth missing because, let's see, I don't remember why. I guess they all got pulled. No, this one's broken off. It's halfway there, half gone. And there's, oh yeah, wow, there's one on top that's gone, another on top that's gone, one on the bottom that's gone. I don't remember. I guess they got pulled. I know for a fact one got pulled, and it was really amazing because he showed me the tooth after he pulled it, and it had a perfect hole all the way through, front to back. I mean, I literally could have made a necklace out of it if I wanted to. So, and he just, I could hear the bone squeaking, and like squeak, squeak, squeak. He had a little pair of pliers. He was just going back and forth, like firmly but gently, not too hard. And you know, it was not rocket surgery, as they say. I love to say that, rocket surgery. It was not rocket surgery. You know, he just, you know, very gently but firmly, you know, twist, sort of back and forth, back and forth. That was the squeaking sound. And after about 15 minutes, it finally broke loose. So, you know, it was a very clean extraction. The root came with it, everything. It was really kind of cool. You know, and he paid, I think he charged me $300 for 15 minutes worth of work. So that's a pretty good deal. It's a pretty good deal for him. Now, if I had been the way I am now, then I would have never had to lose that tooth, because it was a perfectly good tooth with the exception of that hole right at the gum line, pretty much right in the middle of the tooth, speaking in lateral terms, you know, front to back. So, and I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb, so hopefully I don't get an interruption. Sometimes when the interruptions come in, they kill the camera. So anyway, it's important for me to remember to put it on Do Not Disturb, but I always forget. All right, so, but here's the thing. So, but long story short, short story long, is, you know, entire life bad teeth. You know, not terrible, but bad. Normal thing, you know, as a kid, dentist twice a year, blah, blah, blah. And then as an adult, I just went to the dentist when I had no choice. Like I had a pain, or, you know, I had pain, basically. So that's not a good way to do it, but that's the way I did it. And the time that I went and had the tooth extracted that had the perfect hole in it, front to back, that was hurting so much that I was literally taking like 20, I think they must have been ibuprofen. I've always taken ibuprofen. I've never really been an acetaminophen person, or even an aspirin person. I've always been an ibuprofen person. So it must have been ibuprofen. So I was taking about 20 of those a day, I mean, at work, because it was just hurting so bad. So when I say I only went to the dentist when I absolutely have to, I really mean it. I mean, that's back in the day. Now, growing up, my grandmother would always tout the virtue of hydrogen peroxide for your teeth. And some people, I guess, it sounds controversial. Some people think, I know my son, I think I told him probably to gargle with hydrogen peroxide or something, and he swallowed some of it. He panicked. It's called poison control. But I mean, hydrogen peroxide, number one, it's an amino acid that your body produces on its own. Hydrogen peroxide occurs in nature. I think it has something to do with, I don't know all the details, but it has something to do with ozone, rain, and tree roots. Don't ask me to put those 3 things together. I don't know how they go together, but something about those things generate hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide on the bottle, right on the bottle, it says oral debreeder. So I mean, it's made for cleansing the mouth. But there's a doctor down in West Palm Beach that will actually intravenously, put hydrogen peroxide into your bloodstream. I guess it's kind of controversial, but he claims to get amazing results, and frankly, I believe him because I'm a big hydrogen peroxide fanatic myself. And there's a doctor who went to Africa, took pallets of hydrogen peroxide with him, and he claims to have cured like 88% or 90% or whatever of every disorder that he came across with hydrogen peroxide. So I'm a huge believer in hydrogen peroxide, and like I said, I was conditioned from a young age to have a friendly predisposition toward hydrogen peroxide, again because of my grandmother. Okay, and she claimed that she would brush her teeth with hydrogen peroxide once a week. Yeah, and that's important because if you do it every day, your teeth will start to hurt. Hydrogen peroxide is like apple cider vinegar. It's extremely beneficial, but it's also quite powerful. So, I've done it every day, and my teeth started to hurt. So it's not advisable. And my grandmother used to say the same thing. She claimed that because she brushed her teeth with hydrogen peroxide, presumably, I believe, I don't know for sure, but presumably I believe it was toothpaste and hydrogen peroxide. So that's my impression. That's the way my memory reconstructs those sort of monologues. My grandmother was famous for her monologues. Maybe that's where I get my proclivity for monologues from. I might get it from my grandmother on my mother's side. My other grandmother, my father's side, she hardly said two words, but and if she did, it was very quiet. You could barely hear her speak. But my grandmother on my mother's side was a very loud, very verbose, obsessively verbose. If she was the only person in the house or in the room or in the car, she would be talking. I mean, she literally never stopped talking. And I'm kind of like that too, to be honest with you. So maybe I did inherit that from her, actually, now that I think about it a little bit more. So she claimed that because she brushed her teeth with hydrogen peroxide, that whenever she went to the dentist, there was no plaque to remove. Now, kids always ignore what older people say, and I was no different. Not always, but most of the time they ignore. They're just like, she's old, she's crazy, and my grandmother on my mother's side was widely regarded as being crazy by everybody. So you can imagine, for me as a kid, I really thought she was crazy. So because all the other adults told me she was, or I overheard them saying that she was. So I didn't pay that much attention to it, but when you hear things as a kid, sometimes they're indelibly marked on your consciousness for life, and this is one of those things. So about the age 35, 30 something, I don't exactly know why. Maybe it was because of my tooth problems, maybe, potentially. I got tired of losing teeth, maybe. I decided to try my crazy grandmother's suggestion, and so I started brushing my teeth with hydrogen peroxide. Now, so it's like a progression, okay? So I started brushing my teeth with hydrogen peroxide. Still using regular toothpaste, yada yada, so on and so forth. But I just added the hydrogen peroxide. And wouldn't you guess that the next time I went to the dentist, the lady with the little nasty, Kevorkian, who's that doctor, the Nazi doctor, the Auschwitz guy. Anyway, I can't think of his name right now. Anyway, Kevorkian comes to mind. Like the torture instrument, like that little sharp thing with the point. It's got like a hook, and oh my gosh, that thing, I hate that thing. I always hated that thing. They scrape your teeth, and it seems like they're always pricking your gums with it. It's just, oh man, I hated that. That was the worst. And so the lady took that little pokey thing, and she started to clean my teeth, and she's like, pulled this gum away, pulled this gum away from my teeth, pulled on the bottom, pulled on the top, and she's just like touched my tooth with the pokey thing, just like very gently, just touched it. And I heard her say like, huh. And then she went to the other side of my mouth, the same thing, and she's like, you have no plaque. I was like, I know, my grandmother, she took her finger out of my mouth and let me talk. I said, I know, my grandmother, told me that, and I didn't believe her because everybody said she was crazy, and I usually think old people are crazy anyway. And so I really thought she was crazy, so I didn't really pay any attention to her. But I just started doing this, and I guess she was right about this one thing, So the way my mind works is I don't even know what you call it, but I I don't just stop. Like if somebody tells me hydrogen peroxide is good for your teeth, and I find that there's some truth to it, then I don't stop there. So I started thinking to myself, it's like I wonder how I can expand on this. I wonder how I like to elaborate, I guess is the right way to put it. How I can elaborate on this thing. So, and this is over some time. Like I said, it was like a progression. It was not like an instantaneous thing. A progression of a few years. And so I started. I developed. So I like to elaborate, and I like to create sequences of things. If you knew my daily routine, you'd be like, "That's crazy. How did you even come up with that? And how could you ever do that? And why would anybody ever want to do that?" I mean, it's like an elaborate sequence of things, So that's just the way I am, and that's the way my mind works. I don't know what the terminology is for that. Is it OCD? I don't know. I'm not really sure, but anyway, that's the way my mind works. So I said, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to brush my teeth with baking soda and hydrogen peroxide, because I knew that baking soda was good for polishing, and hydrogen peroxide is good for disinfecting. And hydrogen peroxide has very low. I love to talk about this. I hope you like this, because I just love to talk about this. I think it's so cool. Hydrogen peroxide has very low viscosity. Okay, it's like more fine than water. Okay, which means it's like more liquidy. Not liquidy, but viscosity, I guess is the way to put it. It's a very, very, very low viscosity, which means it's extremely watery. Well, it's 3% hydrogen peroxide, 97% water. So it's got a lot of water, but it's got a very low viscosity. Okay, which means it can get into the tiniest of tiny cracks. Okay, in my mind, this is just intuition. It's not like training or reading, or I've never even heard anybody else talk about this. This is just 100% my own concoction, intuition, whatever you want to call it, inspired by my grandmother. And my sister also. My sister had a wreck in high school, or right after high school, and her head flew forward and her teeth jammed. It's like, my understanding was that her teeth jammed into the steering wheel, and it shoved her teeth up into her sinus cavity. And she had to get all new teeth replaced, and they were going to do gum surgery, and she started using hydrogen peroxide, and then they didn't have to do gum surgery anymore. So I don't exactly know how to break all that down, but that's the story that I was told, and I believed it. So anyway, that was, that's my oldest sister. So she was just out of high school, so you can imagine that I was very young. I was like 9 or 10 years old. So that's the background of my life with respect to hydrogen peroxide. So I said, well, I'm gonna brush my teeth with hydrogen peroxide for the disinfectant aspect of it, and the plaque stripping, and I'm gonna use a baking soda because it's a good neutralizer and it's also a good polishing agent. So I started doing that, and then at some point in time, I developed this routine where I brush once a month. And you got to understand, with me, nothing. I mean, I don't stick to schedules at all. But the idea is, once a month, I do this routine with my teeth. I brush my teeth for 5 minutes. Okay, I set a timer, yada yada, with regular toothpaste. I don't use fluoride toothpaste anymore. That's a whole other video. But anyway, and it's not just based upon what I've heard people say. I do hear people talk about it all the time. But in my own personal experience, no, the fluoride is no good. No good for me. No good. Absolutely no good. So the fluoride-free toothpaste, which is, not 100% easy to find, but it's not really that hard to find. So 5 minutes, and then I floss, and then I brush my teeth for 5 minutes with hydrogen peroxide and baking soda, and I just started mixing in activated charcoal in there with, so all three of those, and then for 5 minutes. And then I rinse my mouth for 30 seconds with hydrogen peroxide, and then I brush my teeth again for 5 minutes with just regular toothpaste, and then I use mouthwash after that. So that's my routine, and I just did that tonight, and man, it's amazing. My teeth feel so good. They just feel so good. I mean, I just drive around thinking about, wow, my teeth feel good. My mouth feels good. Everything feels good. Now, here's the thing. This is the thing. This is the hard part. In the natural health realm, they have a thing called a healing crisis. I don't fully understand it, but I kind of get it. But the idea is that once you go from a sick state to a healthy state, there's going to be it's like a baby being born. It's kind of a dramatic, painful, messy process. It's like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. It's kind of like, it's kind of like, it's very like, there's some pain involved. There's some discomfort. There might be some blood involved. I mean, it's just a very, dramatic type process. And I would say that it's the same thing here, because the first time I brushed my teeth with hydrogen peroxide, I thought I was going to die. I thought I mean, it hurt so bad. I thought I was going to die. And subsequently after that, for a few times, for a little while, it hurt bad, like for maybe even a couple years. But see, the thing of it is that if you do it consistently, like I said, about once a month, you don't have that problem. But I would go I would do it a month. I'd do it, and it would hurt really bad, and then I would wait 3 months and do it again, and it would hurt really bad. So that's one reason it hurts, is when you wait too long, because the infections get back in there. So anyway, but the thing of it is like, if you do it consistently once a month for 2 or 3 months, it doesn't hurt anymore. And then at some point in time, maybe after the 3rd or 4th or 5th or 6th month, somewhere in that range, it actually starts to feel good. It feels refreshing. It's like, wow, you just feel, it's hard to explain, but it feels really good. Like, you can sort of like intuitively understand or feel that your mouth has been cleaned of infections, So now I'm at the point, I've been doing it for so long, that even if I wait 6 months, it doesn't really hurt. It still hurts a little bit, but not really. I mean, not anything like before. Like, I can never forget this one time I did it before, and it hurt so bad. I felt like in my mind, I don't think it was literally true, but I felt like in my mind I could feel every vertebra in my spine. It was like, it was just hurting so bad. And if it hurts so bad, then you don't have to continue, obviously. But at that point in time, I was kind of used to the sensation and the pain. I was just like, I'll just power through it and get it done, and I did, and it was fine, But I mean, if you really can't take it, then don't be crazy about it. No, nobody should ever advocate, whatever you call that, masochism or whatever. I mean, there's no point to that. But I mean, there's a point to some pain, right? Because without pain, you're not really growing. You're not, like if you're running, you should run till you're tired and then run some more. If you're lifting weights, you should lift weights until it gets uncomfortable and then lift some more. There's like a balance there. Some pain, depending upon the kind, of course, is a sign of growth, because your body will tell you when you're taking it outside of its comfort zone, and the way it tells you that is through pain, and you have to make an informed judgment call. Is this, pain good or bad? If it's bad, obviously you should stop. But anyway, and in the beginning you don't know. You don't have the experience to know is this good or bad pain. You just feel pain. You just like, so you gotta exercise your own judgment. You gotta do what's right for you in any given situation. So, but the point is it's gonna hurt, and all the dead skin in your gums is going to peel off, and it's going to be ugly, because it's going to be white and nasty. And like the next day, I've had like giant pieces of skin, like, I don't want to exaggerate because it's inside your mouth, it's not that big, but I mean, like say like a 1/4 of an inch by a 1/4 of an inch, that's a pretty big piece of skin from the inside of your mouth, come off when I rub my tongue across my gums, because that's dead skin. It's dead skin. Hydrogen peroxide does not harm healthy flesh. That's the beauty and the amazing thing about hydrogen peroxide. It specifically targets pathogens and dead skin, and you don't want anything dead on you. That's not good. Dead flesh is kind of parasitic. It's leaching energy and nutrients, but since it's not alive, it's not doing anything, and it's infecting the flesh around it, right? You don't want dead anything on you, So it's good that so point is now, like I said, after you do it a few times, it just becomes refreshing. And like, if you do it consistently, after about a week or 2 weeks, you start to get the sensation. It's like, wow, I really need to, I call it acid wash. That's just my phrase that I made up. After about a week or two, you get the feeling, wow, I really need to acid wash my teeth, because it doesn't feel fresh anymore. It doesn't feel as good. So, and then if you do it, like I said, consistently, then there's no pain, there's no dead skin, there's no nothing. Okay. So my theory is that sugar has nothing to do with cavities. Cavities are like a crack in concrete where a little plant gets in there and it sprouts roots, and then pretty soon, you need $150,000 worth of concrete work on the building or the bridge because a bunch of cracks have opened up as a result of the plants. And the plants in your mouth obviously are the bacteria, and they get in there and they grow and they grow and they grow and they irritate the nerves, they irritate the tooth, they crack the tooth, which creates more space for more bacteria, and it's just a degenerating kind of situation. So that hydrogen peroxide, like I said, has very high viscosity, which, if I'm using that term correctly, I think high viscosity means like very watery, and low viscosity means like molasses. I think I got that right. I think that sometimes I think viscosity is one of those reverse things, like pH. I think high pH means one thing and low pH means the other thing, and I always get it backwards. But anyway, I think high pH means base and low pH means acidic. But for me, intuitively, it seems like it should be the reverse of that. But anyway, I think I'm using the word viscosity correct here. It has very high viscosity, which means it gets in the tiny little cracks of your mouth, and it cleans out the bacteria in those tiny cracks, which means the cracks can't get bigger and turn into cavities. So in my opinion, it has nothing to do with sugar. Okay? To me, the whole sugar thing is just a mind control, social conditioning, mass psychology trick. Okay, because they know, not the dentist, they're not involved, but whoever came up with this thing, there's a story behind that too. I don't have time to get into that because I'm running out of time here. But anyway, you know what? I'll just make this a double video. All my videos are long, so why should this one be any different? So the story is that back in the 50s, Crest wanted the endorsement of the American Dental Association. If you're as old as I am, you probably remember from back in the day, every Crest commercial, we have the endorsement, endorsed by the American Dental Association, endorsed by the American, it's like drilled into our mind, endorsed by the American Dental Association, endorsed by the American, you hear that like 100 million times growing up as a kid, and that's the way marketing works, right? So the story is that the American Dental Association agreed to endorse Crest if Crest would promote the idea that everybody needs to go to the dentist twice a year. So, because that helps the dentist industry, have like a regular flow of traffic, as opposed to people just coming in whenever they need to come in, like I used to do when I was an adult. Excuse me. So, that's the story with that. And then I think they threw the sugar thing in there, because they know that people cannot resist sugar. So, number one, you inflict people with guilt that they can never escape because you can't resist sugar. And then number two, you offer them this authoritative remedy for their sin or for their broken condition. So you inflict them with guilt and then you offer them a way out. It's the same thing over and over and over again. Everywhere you go where you want to control the masses, right? So that's the story behind that. That wasn't too bad. 23. I should have limited this to 20 minutes because there's some platforms that don't take videos past 20 minutes. And I'm already at 24. So I'll stop this video, make another one. I think my phone shuts off at 24 anyway. And it automatically creates a new one. But maybe I should just let it do that. Now I'll do it manually. That'll help me remember to shut it off at 20 minutes next time. All right, I'll be right back. Thanks again for watching. Friday now, April 29th. I'll be right back.